Okay, welcome once again. This is our third parent hour, and we're really happy to see all of you every Sunday. A little bit about myself. I am currently the Director of Gifted Programs at GenWise, where I focus on the design and the delivery of the gifted programs and the different opportunities that we create. My background, I've been, by qualification, I studied to be a physical therapist, and I worked as an outpatient therapist in New York with mostly college level athletes for about 7 to 8 years before I think in my words, I used some quarter life crisis struck me, and I was very intrigued by my cousin who was working with Teach for America and the students and the teaching and her stories. And so I Googled Teach for India and I applied to Teach for India. In my head, I thought, oh, it's a 2-year fellowship. I want to come back, do something for my country. And that's how my journey with education started. And then there has been no looking back since then, So I worked with Teach for India for almost 6 years, where I started as a teacher. I was teaching elementary, so grade 4 and 5 students for 2 years at a school in Bombay. From there on, I went on to do teacher training and then manage the operations for the entire city of Ahmedabad, where Teach for India was just starting off. And after having spent about 6 years in education, I took a step back, went to Harvard, got a master's in education, spent a year sort of immersing in more of the formal learning to explore some of the questions that I had through those 7 years of education, around what is, all the buzzwords, like what is 21st century education? What is relevant for children in this age? What does school for the 21st century mean? And I spent a lot of time like visiting different schools, learning through different classes. After I graduated from my MEd, I continued working at the Harvard School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. I worked at the Biodesign Lab as a research fellow, where I developed curriculum to bring some of the niche sort of robotics research into classrooms, which is largely middle and high school students. And so I developed the soft robotics curriculum, which was then tested across schools in India and the US. And after, so that was almost 3 years, and I came back to India. I started working with a middle and high school and international school for girls here in India, or right here in Pune. And I think through that experience, while that was something I was very passionate about, I think what constantly bothered me at that time, and this was partially during COVID as well, was that a lot of the decisions I was making were geared towards performance in an exam, which is, don't get me wrong, extremely important, the board exams, because they're a gateway to college and future career pathways. But at the same time, I don't think those were learning experiences that I strongly believed in. For me, it was important that kids have meaningful learning experiences and they're not, mugging things up for the sake of an exam and forgetting it at the end of that. Though, as I said, don't get me wrong, I do understand the importance of that exam in the system that we're in, where it is a gatekeeper to something else. At the same time, my heart wasn't in it. And so that's when, last summer, I was at the gifted program in Manipal, and it was one of the most beautiful summers I've ever had, working with faculty and students who were all learning because they wanted to learn. There was no exam at the end of it. And yet the amount of effort and motivation and commitment, so often I would see children, during lunch breaks, like run back into the classroom, find their faculty, try to ask the questions they have, work on their projects. And, often that kind of engagement was missing even in real school. And so that really made me so happy. So I've been working with GenWise to create more of these opportunities for as many children as possible. So with that, making this awkward digression to what our time together will look like, I'll quickly share a little bit about gifted and what does giftedness mean, what are the unique needs of the children, why gifted programs, before we delve deeper into like gifted program or gifted residential program. We'll have a chance to hear from one of our parent and student alums, that is Navya and Rahul Chaudhary, who have very graciously agreed to join us today, and have very graciously agreed to share their experience over the last year that they've engaged with the program. program. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. And, I'll get to you in a few minutes. I'll also share a little bit more about the courses, the faculty, some other details that are important. At the same time, I believe, hearing from a parent and their experience and a student and her experience will hopefully speak for itself, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end. In the meanwhile, if you have questions, continue to put them in the chat. If we're not able to respond to it, today through the Q&A section, we'll at least review the chat and be able to send responses. And of course, after this, if you want to, connect with us one-on-one as well, our details will be in the chat, and you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my colleagues, Shrikant, Eklavya, Bindu, they're all on this call today. So getting started with what does it mean to be gifted, or what do we mean by gifted, right? So we think every child is gifted. Everybody has some gift. It's important to understand what that gift is. And in this specific context as of today, what we're talking about, the giftedness that we are talking about is the intellectual giftedness. So your children gave a test called the Asset Talent Search Test. This is a scientifically designed above level test. Okay, so and it's an invite only test. So they had, they were all in the 85th percentile or above for the first level test and got invited to the second level. And this test helps us identify the hidden academic potential of your child. And so in this particular context, what we mean by giftedness is being academically or intellectually gifted in a certain domain. And they are amongst the top 1 to 5% of students who took the test, right? So that's a huge achievement or a huge talent for your child. And the test, as you can see, is recognized by multiple gifted programs, not just in India, but also in the United States. Now, knowing that your child is gifted is very, very important. Being able to identify what gifts does your child have, like innate gifts or abilities that your child has, is extremely important. But then what, right? So I'm gonna give, or just for an analogy, let's think about eminent sort of sports players, musicians, artists, etc. So let's take, for instance, some of the, say, Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli from India, or many of the players from the Indian cricket team, right? Or see some of the tennis players, or if you see, Roger Federer, Djokovic, etc. All of these people have a certain ability, right? But that ability doesn't translate into achievement and eminence just like that. Just because I'm, suddenly very smart, it doesn't translate into achievement. What all of them had in common was not just the special ability that they had, but also the coaching, the mentoring, the coaches that they had, the opportunities to learn constantly, right? Whether it was, if many of you have seen King Richard, the movie, and this is where I digress, but, that talks about the journey of the Williams sisters and the role the parents played in the different opportunities, the more specialized coaches and academies played in their journey. And so ability by itself doesn't translate into achievement and eminence. What we need is opportunity, and opportunity in the form of exposure to diverse experiences, exposure to a diverse set of peers, ability to go deeper and more advanced learning opportunities, because your child can actually learn ahead, since the test already tells us that they are ahead of the curriculum. And at the same time, ability to build important, or opportunities to build important social emotional skills, because we all know that those soft skills are as important in someone's success in their journey as the hard skills and the talents are. But unfortunately, in our country, we don't have special opportunities for our academically talented children. In the Western countries, and very specifically the United States, just because I've studied there and know a little bit about their education system, they have, at high school, they have something called advanced placement classes, which is a separate track, and children, depending on the giftedness in a specific domain, can enroll for advanced placement classes within their school, right? So you could do general science, or you could do advanced science. Those are opportunities to engage in more advanced and challenging learning, because the child has the capability to do that. Now, unfortunately, in our country, we don't always have those opportunities. Like the curriculum curriculum is, if it's a CBSE curriculum, it's standardized for all children, and they have to take the same curriculum regardless of their ability or talent in a specific domain. And it's because of that we came together. So education initiatives, which designs the asset talent search test, GenWise that runs gifted programs, Northwestern Center for Talent Development, which also runs gifted programs and has been a pioneer in that, over the last 4 decades, Agastya Foundation, which does similar work in the nonprofit space with, children from rural India. We came together to form this Gifted India Network. And Gifted India Network is largely designed to support the needs of students and families who are gifted. And how do we, it's partially advocacy, partially, trying to bring more opportunities to our children and parents to support the children in their journey. And so generally, what have we learned as the unique needs of gifted children? One of the things we've seen is that, they're not sufficiently challenged. They are capable or they have the ability to engage in more advanced learning, but in school, they're not always sufficiently challenged. And this may either lead to boredom, or it may lead to being disruptive in the classroom. So it can show up in different ways for different children. This also doesn't enable them to convert their challenge into, or their talent into, achievement, because they're not getting that kind of advanced learning opportunities. A lack of a similar peer group, right? So often your children are probably the kids that come first, second, third in their classroom. They might, teachers might lean on them in terms of, helping other students in the classroom. But oftentimes it can also happen that they feel sort of like they don't belong, because they're either teachers' pets, they're very smart, or they're a little bit nerdy. Their interests could be classified as nerdy, and they may not be the, the cool student. This again is not, it's not every child is feeling exactly like that, but these are some of the things that you may notice. And being able to be in a peer group of similarly gifted and talented children can help them find that tribe where they know that they belong, that, they're not different from the others. There are others just like them. Some of the other psychosocial challenges could be around, often children already know that they are, because they're performing so well in the classroom, they know that they're talented in some way or the other, right? Even if they don't use the word gifted themselves. And sometimes they end up putting undue pressure on themselves because they're, such perfectionists. They hold themselves in such high regard. You as a parent hold them in such high regard because they've consistently performed well, that there could be this undue pressure of perfectionism that I have to do everything really well. I have to, be in the top 5. How did I get an 85%? Oh my God, I usually only get 95 and above. Or on the other hand, it's, they're unwilling to take risks because they don't want to perform poorly. They're scared that, oh, what if they don't do well? What will others think of them? And so they sort of, they avoid taking risks where they're not sure that they are going to do well or not. So all of these can, these could show up in different ways, some of these psychosocial challenges. Again, because they're so good and they want to do everything, there is this risk of like burning out too early because you're just doing too much and too many things. Children need time to be children as well. And just, there is time to, so it's not about engaging, it's not one opportunity and I have to make the most of it. It's consistently, as we see in athletes, in artists, in musicians, in a lot of the creatively talented people, that it's years of training and years of coaching and years of opportunity. It's not once you engage in something and you should suddenly be the best at it and know all. But these are some of the challenges that we've noticed, again, with gifted children. And which is why, again, we came together to form this network to offer support and to be able to create opportunities for our gifted children so they can achieve more, because the likelihood of them reaching, higher levels of achievement and eminence is much higher. And all our children, they have the right to be challenged and to be offered the education and the opportunities that are right for them. depending on the level where they are. And so, these were all of the reasons behind us creating this gifted program in India. And what I'm going to do at this moment is actually stop sharing my screen and invite Navya and her father, Rahul Chaudhary, to the screen. I'm going to put a pin on both of you. Thank you both for joining. I'm just going to put a pin so that everybody can see you and hear you. Hello and welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking out this time on a Sunday. It'll be great if you can both just start with briefly introducing yourself. Navya, you can share, and Rahul, if you can share about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Nafia and I'm a student of class 8 and I have been to GenWise 3 times in the past year.
Thank you, Navya.
Rahul Chaudhary, Navya's father. It was a Navya last time got an opportunity to be a Brown Scholar, and therefore she was invited for the program. We took the summer program, and again, I was very apprehensive. She was first time traveling. We live in Gurgaon, and she was to travel to Bangalore. So it was quite with one flight change in Bangalore. So that was a stressful decision within the family to be taken. That can such a small kid travel on her own? We could not accompany her because of certain other reasons. We were But the program she went in and the reaction which we got, I mean, it was outstanding. Sapna was talking about this entire question of the social skills and the peer group and being nerdy. And Navya just blossomed after she was with the more talented peer group, and her social skills and her capabilities to interact and be unable to take the decisions for herself. There was a marked change. And I think that was the reason why she went into the other programs. And hopefully, if things work out, she might even go for the summer one too. It's a apart from this the technical learning, it is the social experience for the kids which is of a very different kind. One of the things which in a way many of our kids would be like the best in the class, and therefore there is certain amount of kuए ka medhak kind of a situation which also starts to develop. The positive reinforcement from competition, which is not scared from you, and you can all learn together. That's the best learning experience which my daughter got out of GenWise. And outstanding administrative support, outstanding way in which they deal with the kids. So all kudos. It's a fantastic program which we discovered, and hopefully we will use as much of it as we can with Navya. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for sharing so candidly. I'm going to actually ask you to walk back a few steps.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned how the first time when you were thinking of sending Navya all the way to Manipal last summer, from Gurgaon, you knew you all would not be able to accompany her. It's not an easy decision for any parent. Regardless of how far they live from Manipal or not, it's not an easy decision to send your child that far alone for this amount of time. Help me understand, like, what helped you make that decision, like turn that anticipation or that apprehension, helped sort of calm down that apprehension a little bit.
Look, the first thing which we did was we said, okay, we will first time we will expose her more towards languages and English. Though I mean it's about all the subjects, but The second thing was that we sent her just for a week, first time around. And then there was another program which was happening near Gurgaon, so that was easier, much easier decision.
Yeah.
But the kind of support we got out of GenWise in terms of picking her up, making sure that we were in constant communication, making sure that our flights, etc., were properly coordinated, gave us a lot of confidence in you guys. I mean, it was basically that you guys know your onion.
Yeah.
So you knew what is required to be done, what was required to be. So and the second thing which happened was when Navya was in fact not prepared to come back. But I mean, the camp was over.
Yeah.
So the kind of warmth which is generated by you, the kind of peer, I mean, the teacher interactions, the administrative support, all of that was a far more positive reflection on the way how things can work. And I think the social aspect of that is far more important in making Navya what she has grown in last 1 year than just the courses she attended.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for highlighting that. We're good. I'd love to ask Navya a little bit more. Navya, can you tell, one is the courses that you studied, and generally, like, how was your learning experience at GenWise, and, you know, in what ways is it similar or different from other learning experiences that you engage in? The faculty, your peer group, if you can share a little bit about that.
So when I first went to GenWise, I was really nervous, right? I could not interact with anyone. And the first day I was so ready to go home. But the thing about GenWise is that the people around you, they've gone through the same thing as you are, because they've taken the test and they've scored almost like similar to what you have scored. And the peer group, the competition that you experienced both in class and outside class was insane. Because I remember thinking on the first few days of GenWise, I am not good enough for this school. The kids in class are so much smarter than me. And that was the first time that had ever happened to me in my entire life, because I've always been like the smartest kid in my class, and I've always been sort of like the outcast and sort of the person they don't really want to talk to, and they only come for homework and stuff. And so the moment that you actually get to experience competition amongst your own peer group, it's a very humbling experience, because I realized that I still have so much more to go, right? I've not achieved a lot yet. And there are so many amazing people that you meet. Like, and they have such diverse interests. There was this one guy who was in another course. He was an amazing opera singer. And I just wanted to bring him up because his interests were so diverse. And amongst the courses, the learning courses, my teachers were much more were different from my school teachers, because like in school you have to follow a set curriculum, right? You can't diverge from the topic too much. But over here you go from talking about economics to talking about George Orwell's books in like 5 minutes, and you still discuss about it for half an hour. And it's truly an experience to just be able to have fun in class, to be able to study just for the sake of learning, not just like writing exams. And that's one thing that GenWise is really different in, because even if we create a project at the end, we create it together as a class. And it's an accumulation of all our learning together, right? Like, you're not trying to outshine anyone else. You're just trying to be your own individual amongst people like you.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that so candidly. And, you know, the feelings you went through from the first day, it's like, oh my God, you know, I miss home, want to be back home. Everybody around me is so smart, like, you know, and that self-doubt for those few moments, days, whenever you felt, you know, I relate to it so much. See, when I went to Harvard the first few months, I think I felt the same thing, that everybody around me is just so much smarter and equally smarter. And, you know, that, but to then then come back from there, and be able to engage and take in that learning experience just like a sponge that you did. Thank you for sharing that so candidly. I have a more specific question for you. So can you share with all our parents some of the rules that you're taught on day one, especially for, from safety perspective? Can you share with parents, like, generally, what are the rules that you're taught that you follow, and what does that experience feel like in person as a child?
So some of the rules, they usually have like an orientation on day one where they share the basic rules. Like one of the most important rules is that you have to constantly wear your lanyard and talk to people only if they have a lanyard, and you're not allowed to interact with anyone other than the camp staff, your instructors or kids inside the camp, just for your own safety. And other than that, you're supposed to walk in buddies, such that you don't get lost. And whenever you do, like, so whenever you go to like the bathroom or even back to your own dorm, you're supposed to go with the buddy. And other than that, you're supposed to, there's just basic decorum etiquette. And yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. So other than that, of course, can you tell a little bit about your experience, like the residential counselor experience, your living, like the dorm living experience? And you've lived in 3 different dorms, right? Manipal, Bangalore, Shivnadar. So generally, what are some of the experiences, even though each dorm looked different as such?
Each dorm had like a sort of GenWise feel to it because it was a college dorm, and they were not as comfortable as your room at home, but it was just so much fun. So like the dorms, they varied a lot, like the food and like the classrooms and all, and the food was like, it went from good to bad to incredibly amazing, because the food that you received in Bangalore was the best food ever I've had in my life. And other than that, the dorms were also incredibly comfortable. Every morning you had to wake up at 6:30. Like you didn't want to wake up because like the blanket was so warm, and your residential counselor just used to like have to pick you up and just completely just wake you up and stuff.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that, Navya, so candidly. And I'm going to come back to you, Rahul. Rahul, help us a little bit, talk through how you are, so say, at that time last year when she got invited to some of the gifted programs, again, there may have been multiple opportunities and options, whether it is programs in India or the US, whether it is online or offline. Can you unpack some of your thinking and how you made these choices, or how you thought about the different choices?
One of the most critical issue at that point of time was an environmental issue called COVID. We were just coming out of COVID, and all of that was around. Therefore, it was more or less clear that we have to look at options within India only. I mean, there was no question that she would be able to try something outside it. And she was very, very young. And the first time for a course like this, I would definitely want her to be in an Indian program and understand things. See how things go. We were very, the GenWise team would know the kind of questions I have asked on medical support, how things would be, it was quite, must have been quite a pain in the neck for all of you guys at that time, but it was important for us to be sure to the last T that yes, we were satisfied with the answers which were being given, and therefore we moved forward with with sending her to Manipal. The other very important question was that she would be going out for the first time, and I did not want her to be too burdened from the course material, not understanding the entire tough, and
mm,
therefore it was an important decision to therefore take a course where it was basically her communication skills, singing. It was basically an English because science can become more overwhelming if you are first time out, and
yeah,
so that was another design which we deliberately discussed and planned.
yeah, yeah.
The other very important aspect was, and which in fact which made me send her again and again to GenWise, was something which Navya, when she came back, she told me. Said that the best thing I learned in GenWise this time was that if you are the smartest person in the class, you are in a wrong place.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
And that was a very interesting observation which she taught me after being in GenWise.
Yes.
And yes, that was one of the reasons why I have repeated her into different courses from time on. And I would say one thing, that in science and the courses, one of the things which we lack, at least I see schools lacking, is to give the students a participative way of making them grow. Making them grow, which happens a lot in GenWise.
Yes, yes. The classes are interactive. Yeah, thank you for, I think you so beautifully shared, your thought process about this is a new experience and how to think about it in small steps, right? Not to make it extremely challenging from day one. So if she goes to a new country, everything is new, in addition to the fact that you're trying a new program. So the country is new, the language, maybe everybody still speaks English, but it's a much more diverse crowd. Culturally, it's extremely diverse. In terms of the content, there could be some differences because their educational practices could be different. So how do we do it one step at a time? That let's try this one first, and then gradually, now that she's more confident, now that she is more independent, you can take the step of sending her further away and making that challenge a little bit more for her as well, and that learning opportunity. So thank you for sharing that so beautifully. And I think, what Navya said, yes, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're probably in the wrong room because you're not being sufficiently challenged at all. And it's important, as we spoke earlier, that everybody gets the kind of intellectual challenge that they are ready to take on in order that they can continue developing further. So thank you for that as well. I had one more question for you, for both of you. And one is, if you were if you had to share any of your, advice or suggestion for other parents and other students, what would you say?
I would say, I know what it's like to be nervous on your first year of GenWise, and it's completely fine. I get it. But just the thing is that if it's an experience in itself, and you should just take all of it, just be confident, because the good thing about GenWise is that these people, you're not going to find them back at home, right? You can tell them anything, the stuff that you've not even told your best friends, and they won't be able to do anything about it. So just create new personalities for yourself. Just see the waters, test out your social skills, because it's completely fine. And if you do it wrong, you can change it later anyways.
Yeah, thank you, Navya.
Yeah, one of the things which I would say is was a very refreshing one. It's not a device place. And that's, I think, is the best thing which you guys do. I mean, that half an hour call which happens, that's the great one. We get the connectivity and feedback every night. But for kids to now know that they can live without a device for the entire day, is also a great experience.
Yes, yes,
And
absolutely.
please make sure. But the only thing which I would add, if I could,
Yeah.
is if the communication back in terms of videos and things like that for the parents to see as a group
Yes,
is a little bit more enhanced.
yes, yes, absolutely. Point taken. Yes, thank you so much. Navya, one last question, actually. I keep saying last and keep adding more. Are you still in touch with the friends you made at the earlier programs?
Oh, yes, definitely. I talk to some of my friends like every day, and we keep each other posted. There's this group chat we have, and every day there are like 400 messages on it. And I have it archived right now, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to go back to the presentation, but if we have questions during Q&A, we'll come back to both of you. Thank you so much for joining, for your time, for your thoughts, for being so candid and open and sharing with everybody. Really, really deeply grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I'm going to remove the pin in the spotlight and just give me 1 second. So I hope listening to Navya and Rahul, who has, her dad Rahul. So Navya has come to 3 different programs we've held last year in Manipal. Then we had another program last June at the Shivnadar University, which was closer to home for them. So she had joined there as well. And then this year during break at, in Bangalore. So thank you so much. And I hope this was helpful to all of you. I'm going to quickly go through some additional slides, and then the rest of it I'll share by email so you can go through and you have time to actually ask your questions. So summarizing sort of what will you experience at this gifted summer program, as both of them shared, one is intellectual challenge. The classes are rigorous. The course design is such that children get an opportunity to pursue advanced learning opportunities. They are hands-on and they're project-based. So again, kids get the opportunity to really participate completely into that academic work. As both of them shared, the staff is extremely talented and caring. All of our faculty are gifted themselves. They're leaders in their own world, in their industries. And they deeply believe in this and join each year to come share their knowledge and expertise with our students. Our residential team and the rest of the administrative team deeply believes in this experience and is very well trained, has been doing this for a while, and they really care about children and come here every year to be a part of the program. Friendships, as you heard from Navya, it's an opportunity to build friendships with people from across the country, and they continue to be in touch with each other, as she shared. As she also shared, the camp is extremely fun outside of the academic time. Our residential team continues to plan extremely exciting experiences for the entire duration of the camp. These could be social experiences, field trips, everything that is fun for children. And of course, the facilities at Manipal are outstanding, from their dorms to the dining hall, the classroom, the labs, the visits. They're outstanding. So we have a program in May. The dates are on my screen. We have a program in July for those who, may have a clash in terms of May vacation. We're also going to offer an online program only for students joining grade 5 the next year because they're still very young. We appreciate our scholars and want to do everything we can for our scholars, but they're a little young for residential experience. Both the May and July programs will happen in Manipal, and they are for 6th to 12th grade, where for 6th to 10th grade, of course, only children who have qualified through the asset are eligible. And for post-10th, that is rising 11th and 12th graders, we have a residential internship. Details will be shared in the chat. And so in case you have siblings that are older take take 5 seconds to sort of read through the different types of courses. As you can see from my screen, look at so we have courses in different disciplines, from STEM, which is, the science, technology, engineering, math courses, to social sciences, writing, and of course, a different program for the juniors that is rising 6th and 7th graders. So as you can see, we offer a range of different course options depending on the areas that your child is talented in and wants to explore further. Again, as you can see from my screen, there are modular options as well as 3-week in-depth options as well. So there are certain courses which of course cannot be done in a short duration, or children are very clear they want to do it and they take the 3-week options. For children who are still exploring their likes, their dislikes, their interests, etc., there are options that are 1 week, so you can do some course from the week 1, some other course in week 2, some other course in week 3. So you have that flexibility or modularity in the schedule or in designing your own program. Mentors, as I already said, we have mentors from across the world. They are experts and leaders in the industry in their own space. All of them have stellar academic backgrounds. They're graduates from elite institutions. They're, as I said, leaders in their own field. They all have pedagogical experience as well through the different teaching experiences that they have taken up, and which means they're not only experts in the particular domain and topic, but also in terms of their pedagogy, and they're able to bring both of those practices to the courses they design and offer to the children. Here's a sample profile. So Naveen every year teaches a course related to computer science. He himself has an undergraduate and a PhD degree in computer science. He's a founder of his own company. He has many patents under his name, many peer-reviewed articles, and he strongly believes in education and, giving our children these opportunities, and which is why every year he takes time off from his own company to come join and teach the kids something around computer science. This year, he's teaching a course on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Sarah is a professor of, politics at a university in the US. She has deep experience in teaching gifted students, middle and high school, through many different programs across different countries. And again, she is an expert in her own field, an academician, but believes strongly in the education, like sort of the K-12 education, and every year takes the opportunity to engage with younger students, not just college students, and expose them to some of these important topics. So during the July program, Sarah is going to be teaching a course on international relations. Again, you can more or less see on the screen, so I'm not going to repeat sort of the timings, but children in general get about 6 hours of academics every day, and then the rest of the time is other extracurricular activities. And as you heard from both Rahul and Navya, that the day is totally packed. The kids are extremely busy. It's an unplugged day. So unless a particular course requires them to have a laptop and use a laptop or a device for something, they don't have devices and they don't use devices. They don't need devices to entertain themselves. Every evening between 9 and 10, there is phone time when they get their cell phones back, where, so they can connect with their parents and family. Outside of that, it's a device-free, unplugged camp. These details, I'll share them in the, the email that I send. You already heard from both of them. So I'll share them in the email that I send as a follow-up, and I'm going to stop sharing for now and open it up for questions. Okay, and before that, I'm also going to hand over to Bindu. Bindu, if you can very quickly just update everybody on the ATDP Berkeley conversation, so that folks are aware, and that's not that's not confusing for anyone. Bindu?
Yeah, hi.
Please introduce yourself and share. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Hi, I'm Bindu Pillai. I am from Educational Initiatives. Educational Initiatives is an EdTech company, a 22-year-old EdTech company. EI have been doing asset talent search, talent identification since 2009. And asset talent search is the leading talent identification test in India and UAE. The test scores are accepted by top universities like Johns Hopkins, CTY, Purdue's GRE program, Northwestern CTD, and also India's leading GenWise, India's leading gifted program company. I just wanted to update about our partnership with ATDP, UC Berkeley's ATDP residential program. ATS partnership was with UC Berkeley's ATDP global residential program, which was conducted by CF Education. With this partnership, they used to give weightage to the ATS scores in their admission process. But unfortunately, we have come to know that no longer the ATS, they are conducting the residential program, as well as based on ATS scores will not be given a weightage in their admission process for the UC Berkeley ATDP program, which is conducted directly by the university. But however, students who are qualified for these programs can still apply for those courses along with the required admission documents. Plus, they can also submit the ATS scores, which might give them some merit in the admission process. And we are also in discussion with the UC Berkeley ATDP team to consider ATS scores in the upcoming program, for the upcoming programs. And we will keep you posted regarding this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bindu. Thank you for that update. We'll also share it by email so that, for anyone that is trying, you will have that information. May not be on this call, but you'll have that information. I'm going to stop talking. I have talked a lot. I'm going to request you to ask your questions. Please feel free to unmute and ask your question. As having been a teacher myself, I'm very comfortable with awkward silences. Yes, go ahead, Rahul.
Yeah, is Purdue still working properly with the ATDP? I believe we had issues, but is Purdue?
Yes, Purdue's there. You can also see on their website at ATS as their partner in the gifted programs. You can apply for Purdue.
No, but we tried. We have looked at it and we did not find this. So
No, it's there. It's there. I can share with you the details.
Yeah, please.
Also, I can connect you to
have my email ID.
Yes, sure.
On Purdue, please share that, please.
Yeah, sure.
And if anybody wants support to admission to CTD, you can contact Sapna or Eklavya.
Yes, just write us an email. Again, contact details are in the chat. Okay. Other questions? Okay, since
I think you've done a great job, Sapna. No questions.
Thanks,
Hi,
Rita.
Sapna. Divya
Yes.
here.
Yes, Divya.
So my son, he's currently doing his 4th grade. So he'll be moving to 5th grade,
That's correct.
by June. So just wanted to know what is the program that he'll be eligible for, and because I saw in the chat only online is available for them.
Yeah.
So how would you, make it interactive? And again, the screen time is something that we are quite concerned.
Yes.
We're so happy that, we're out of COVID and they're able to,
Absolutely.
be with other peers, and there's the social interaction. Again, once we move into online, that's something, we'll have to think about, right? So how do you plan for it?
Yeah, that's correct. So that you're absolutely right. However, I think for, just rising 5th graders, it's a little too early for residential programs. Usually in the past, our observation has been that they find it difficult, they get homesick very quickly and they find it a little difficult. And so this year we are thinking of an online program. As I said, we're finalizing the details in terms of courses, but in general, our thought thought process is that we do 90 minutes of synchronous classes every day with the kids. And then there is, there may be after class work that they need to engage in, but that would not require a screen and it would be independent. I think your point around peer community is very, very valid. And, the ability to build a peer community in an online setting is to a certain extent limited. We've seen it during COVID anyway, but it's a very valid point, and we'll take it into our program design. I don't have any specific response in terms of this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it, but we'll definitely incorporate into our program design to ensure that we are still creating that sense of community, even if it is in an online world. You have a follow-up question, Divya?
Yes, thank you, Sapna, for that.
Yeah.
So, is there a possibility where you could have localized, like how we have Manipal, other places of like a university kind or an education institute? Like I'm from Bangalore, so if there is something in Bangalore, and then you have a group in Bangalore, children of this age, maybe they could come together in that place. May not be residential, but at least during the daytime we could meet up and then have activities over there.
Yeah, I mean, again, valid point. I think I think Srikanth can sort of share his response to that better. It's a little like it's not the most efficient way, so it makes it hard because our scholars are spread everywhere across India. So at the moment, we don't have any of those options. And I think, Srikanth, if you want to share a little bit around.
We have gifted students spread across India.
Right.
And you don't get a large number of students in one city. So it becomes unviable to hold the course in a city. We've done it sometimes for schools. If there's a school with a large number of asset talent search scholars, we've done it in a school. And the other problem is then you have a couple of parents interested and most parents not interested. So unfortunately, this is an emerging area, gifted education. And we are trying to get everybody to one place, but hopefully as there is more recognition for giftedness, hopefully one day we'll do local programs.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. And even if you could have a shorter program, like about a week for, because for 5th grade children, I think, because my son was super excited when he saw the residential program. So now when I said it's online, he's like,
no, absolutely understandable. And, yes, absolutely understandable. But we will be in touch.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sapna and Srikanth.
Thank you. Meena and then Sudha. I don't know if Sudha got dropped. Yeah, Meena and then Sudha.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm not able to switch on my camera. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So this is the second time my son got through this second level asset. The first one was 2 years ago, and then there was COVID. So, we didn't think about it, but I'm glad I managed to log in today, and Navya's testimonial really helped. Thank you, Navya. So what I wanted to know was, so my son is already in a boarding school. So the idea of him going away to study does not sound too fascinating for him right now. So would there be any kind of assistance available for my child to pick what he would like to explore? I mean, do you help in that way?
Yes,
or do we
absolutely.
I mean, is there somebody we could speak to?
Yes, you can write to or connect with either myself or Eklavya, who's also on this call. Both of our contact details are in the chat. Please feel free to either WhatsApp us or email us, and we can schedule time and talk in detail.
Oh, that'll be great. And also, again, so their summer break only starts on 21st, from 21st of May. So you have nothing between that, right?
Yeah, we have May and July.
In July they go back. So why are you missing out the summer break dates?
No, actually, summer in India is, I think there are many summers. There are lots of schools and lots of summers. So we try to offer the maximum we can. But I think some of the schools that, it's actually just a lot of different summers across India.
can understand. So is it possible, I saw from your slide that there were 3-week programs. Is it possible to do only 1 week?
Yes, it is possible. If
Yeah.
that is, if scheduling is an issue, that's absolutely possible. Though, Navya, if you're still around, Navya and Rahul, actually Navya studies in Delhi. And so of course her vacation dates also don't coincide with our dates. And at times they've taken time off. She's taken time off from school to be there. I was going to ask her, and I'm not recommending one way or the other, right? It's entirely your choice and your child's choice. But Rahul, if you can, just, I don't know, share your thinking. I know Navya at times has to miss school to be at the program. Like, how have you navigated that decision?
Are we on?
No, your video is off.
Okay.
Yes, now
Right.
it's on.
Yes. First time around when Navya came, it was for 1 week, and that was her vacation week. But and after that, the other program was during the vacation. Then we had this summer winter program, and based on the experience he did have a chat with the school counselor, and we took special permission for the school, and it was good on the part of the school to allow us to take the entire 2 weeks off. Yeah. And they went to the extent that they made sure that there were no exams or things like that during those 2 weeks. So, and teachers helped her to cope back up. I mean, the school did help in this case, based on the discussions we had. In fact, we right now I have not committed because we still need to have the discussion with the school on how the scheduling will happen, because again the same situation is here. Our vacations start, we can only have 1 week coverage. So you will have to make that decision. You will have to work through with the school. And if the school has conducted the asset talent search, then it's far more easier, because they understand the value of this, and their students doing well, and therefore having the eligibility to come. So it's an interactive process with the school, and you need to take that on. And 1 week in this school is not, I mean, 1 week extra missing out in the school sometimes may not be that big an issue, especially in the very beginning of the semester. Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul, for sharing your thought process. Meena, again, yes, right now the overlap for the current programs that we're offering is 1 week. So definitely, if you want to send for that 1 week, that is possible. And as a parent and your son, you and your son will have to think through whether it makes sense to take some time off at the end of the school, like the last week of school. If there are exams and that's not possible, that's understandable. But we're happy to talk through this one-on-one.
Yeah, no, the fact that we can take 1 week, not 3 weeks, I think that will be doable. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sudha, so we'll just take Sudha's question and then wrap it up. I know we're a little bit over time, and thank you for your patience. But because I had already called out on her, we'll take her question and then wrap it up. And as you heard, if you want to get more details and talk in more detail, please feel free to email or message us. Sudha?
Yeah, hi. I'll just make it short. Actually, my kid is in 5th grade and he's entering 6th grade. But the school, he did the 8-year asset level 2 to his school. They said it was for grade 4 level 2, but he's currently in 5th grade.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if the junior program is from the 5th grade or
the junior residential program is for rising 6th. So if your child is going to 6th grade next year, he qualifies for the junior residential program, which is 2 weeks from 14th May to 28th May.
Yeah, second question is he's into IGCSE board, where his board exam is on May 28, 29, 30. So that time is very crucial kind of thing. Like the 2 weeks he's going to have the mock exam at school and then do the board exam in the last week.
That's correct.
So is that the only option that is available? The last 2 weeks?
There is a July option as well. The July program is from 6th to 27th of July.
Okay. Okay, that's the residential program you are suggesting.
Correct. The same. They're the same.
The kids
They're
are able
identical.
to serve. The kids are able to survive. Like the kids who is as early as 6th grade. I have never been. I have never left him like that. I'm just curious. Like, are they able to handle it by themselves?
Yes, they are absolutely.
Get the program details. Like
yes, you will get the details. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
fine.
They'll be up on our website, and children are generally able to. They might be homesick the first day or two, as you heard Navya also share. And we'll be happy to connect you with other parents who sent younger kids, right? Junior kids. For you to understand their experience, children do take the first 2-3 days to settle down. But from then on, they're so busy and they're having so much fun. They will absolutely enjoy. They'll be able to handle.
Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for your time. For those of you that are still here, I had one more poll for my own understanding. I'm going to launch it. If you can respond, it'll be great. And otherwise, we will be back next week, same time, to engage in this conversation. So if you can take a moment to respond to the poll before hanging up, it would be lovely. And hopefully we'll see many of you next week. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely Sunday.